There must be some kind of way out of here. Matt said the Joker to the thief. There's too much confusion. I can't get no relief. Businessmen, they drink my wine. Plowmen dig my earth. Bob Zimmerman, the writer of the famous Jimi Hendrix, All Along the Watchtower. Now, we are all along the waiting tower here for the Fed.
Oh, pins and needles.
Pins and needles. Sticking on pins and needles. And Matt, apparently there's more rules in the clown world that we live in. We're going to go over a few more rules. First of all, we have a lot of graphics that prove Twitter's new policy that vaccinated people do not spread the virus. I mean, it's clear and present and evident that the vaccinated people do not spread the virus. And if you say that they do, you can get sanctioned. I saw also, and I know that we streamed to Twitch, Matt, now Twitch has taken 2 content providers off for using the term cracker. You can't use cracker anymore.
I like sea salt crack. I like sea salt crackers. I like Uncle Cracker. Like, which cracker are we talking about?
Well, for sure you can't use pumpernickel cracker because that would be not only offensive but ambiguous. And not only that, cracker is designed for derogatory.
What about a marble rye cracker?
Marble rye cracker would be Halle Berry? No?
I don't know.
I don't know either. So we're kicked off of Twitch. Let's move right on. Let's see where else we can get kicked off of today. Let's keep it up. Clown World.
I mean, Dave Chappelle says cracker all the time. I love it.
I know, to great effect.
I love
now
it.
In Canada, we need to build a wall, man, and it needs to be on the northern border.
Oh, you
these
can't
crazies don't come down.
I can't believe you can't say tribe anymore. You're fucked.
Tribe, like who's your tribe?
Your tribe. You're fucked. Your
tribe is like the Israelites had a bunch of different tribes, didn't they?
Bob, that is so lame. These are really
so Canada stepping it up.
That is so lame, which is down there in the bottom left. And these are all first world problems. This is so spookily savage. Like, we need a powwow to talk about this.
I gotta
sell someone down the river that this is just you blindsided.
What it
you
is.
Have blindsided me and my spirit animal, who is tone deaf because he was grandfather.
Let's look at the U.S. Canadian dollars chart, Matt, because we got to get the.
Did I get them all? Did I get them all?
Yeah, I think you did. We're gonna have a powwow to see how well you did in your brainstorming. And if you didn't do good, we're sending you to the ghetto. In fact, we're going to blackmail you right into the ghetto.
Gypped. I feel gypped.
Crippled. That's what I hope to be on Friday night. Crippled.
You know, the blind spot on the ice out in my driveway this morning took me out.
We're going to speak psilocybin late in the broadcast, but let's look at the Canadian dollar, Matt, because for me, it looks like it wants to say sayonara in 2022.
It's been saying sayonara since the last time you were bullish on it.
All right, I have fully right-sided it now on my 3-day. Bring it up. You tell me what you think. All Canadian dollar. I think we go visit the lows at 68
Well,
cents.
we know the dollar's higher, so we know the loonie is lower. It's pretty simple. Nothing has changed. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Are you crippled?
Savage. He's savage with the announcement here. Come on, fractal out, and let's really talk about the lows at 68 cents, where I think they're going.
Well, that was the low this year back in August. We got down there to 72 cents. You want a larger fractal? Okay. Remember when I liked it when you liked it here up here at 82, 83 cents, and I said nope, it's breaking. Yeah, we're going back to 75 at least. That's the point of control here on the 610. This chart, again, trend line drawers, it's broken. Sell every rally. Nothing changes there. And
now you're in the meat of that profile. Point of control much lower.
Mm-hmm.
Very clean and simple.
But again, you don't need to worry about the step below 75 until you get there. So let's see what happens at 75. Then sure, yeah, we can go down to 68 cents after that. any
You know, it's important because if you hang on to longs in this type of environment, you might end up in the ghetto, Matt. And not to be blindsided, you shouldn't be blindsided here because we've given you actionable charting data and information. Let me share just for a second, just to show you on the 3 day.
I think we will be on the CBC tonight for sure.
Here's the 3 day, Matt.
And
you can see fully right-sided, lower momentum on that 3 day. It's clean, clear, and simple. And you're right. If the only thing here holding up right now is this low from 20th August 2021. They take that out, plenty of room, falling away potentiality. Clown World Canada, I got to tell you, I don't know what happened to that glorious country, but they surely have faded. Matt, what else do we got? We got many NFL picks this weekend, no?
Oh, there was 3 or 4 that are shaping up, and it's only Wednesday, so don't hit me up too early for that. You know, let's talk a little Seth Curry. Steph, not Seth, excuse me. His brother is Curry. His other Steph Curry is a very good player, as is Seth. They're both. I mean, you know, their parents must be really proud. And he breaks the 3-point record last night that Ray Allen held, which I didn't know he held that either. So that's pretty exciting for both Ray Allen. He gets a little attention since he's gone from the NBA. And, you know, it was interesting. I actually was watching the game. My son was telling me about it. So I turned it on and watched some of it. And what was interesting was they were, you know, Shaq and Charles, they love Steph Curry, right? So they were doing the broadcast. It was a double header last night for whatever reason on a Tuesday night. But they love Steph, but they don't like the fact that back when they played, there was only 3 3-pointers taken by the team. So as big men, they obviously, and Shaq as a big man could not shoot past the free throw line. So for sure, I see why Shaq doesn't.
He couldn't shoot at the free throw line.
That's what I'm saying. He couldn't make a free throw line if his job depended on it. So Shaq would not have made it in this new NBA, which is interesting because it's actually true. And Charles wouldn't have either. They would not have made it. They would not have been scorers at all in today's game. You have to be.
The game is different. Man,
like you have to be, you know, Steph Curry. Everybody has to be able to shoot threes, including Kevin Durant. Your 7-1 guys. So it's a clown world.
Continues, Matt. The last time a punter was drafted number 1 by their team, was he the number 1 pick overall, Ray Guy?
I doubt it, but I don't know.
But the Raiders for sure took him with their first pick because. He, you know, defense wins championships, Matt, and so does special teams. By the way, great sports one about I forget what year, somewhere around the 2010-11 San Diego Chargers, Matt, led the league in offense and defense and didn't make the playoffs because their special teams were so fucking awful. I mean, it seems impossible.
He was the first. Okay, so he was all unanimous All-American at Southern Miss, and he was the first pure punter ever to be drafted in the first round of the NFL draft when the Raiders took him as a 23rd overall pick.
23rd. The reason why we say this, Matt, is because we got another one coming, and this kid is out of control, Matt.
Yeah. I saw on conference championship day, they did a expose on him at San Diego State. And yeah, talk about
Matt Araiza. Let me just read this from the article. First of all, he also kicks field goals and is the kicker. So as an NFL team, you get 3 guys for the price of 1. Right. Immediately. All right. But that's not even better. Better is he's charting a new course for punters altogether. At the time of writing, Araiza leads the country in average punt yards. He has 15 punts this season, 60 yards or more, breaking the all-time record. And he has hit 2 80-plus yard punts this season. In the NFL, there's been 2 punts over the last 8 years that have traveled 80 yards. You talk about field position as you know, and flipping the field. This guy's got to be a first rounder. I mean, honest to God, if your team, if somehow you got I don't know who has the picks this year, but talk about it, somebody that could impact your team. I
Well,
wouldn't be surprised.
if I were the Lions, I would focus on this before any other key player right now, since you can't move the ball. You should definitely get a punter.
All right, Matt, and maybe, just maybe, that you get to have more prop bets, because it's the only thing that will possibly save gambling as we know it. But DraftKings, we wanted to bring that up. We talked Penn Gaming yesterday, thinking that they would head to 40 and then to $18 at some point.
Yep.
Gambling, impossible. Let's just call it what it is. It's impossible to make money gambling. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and by the way, we have made a new low again, and we'll just keep doing this until it finally finds its bottom, which we know is much lower. But Penn Gaming is trading down to a low of 45 this morning. So yeah, it just, the generations, I mean, Dave, could have had 8 kids. Now he can only have maybe a half a kid. Because he's watched $100 of his $100 per share in his market cap go bye-bye now, because that was the high was 141 or so about.
It was generational is what it was. Generational.
Needless to say, it's gone bye-bye. And DraftKings, it's testing that low again. So it's again, it's just kind of a broken record. And we're at the end of the year, like the pot stocks, like the psilocybin stocks now, everything is just getting schmeezed. But the thing about DraftKings, like we're at a level here that if it doesn't hold and it dipped down into the 2667 area, and that's right here, that was this low back in here. So, to me, this looks like it wants to maybe go back to where it started from the bottom. And now we're here. 1957 looks possible. And the low was, somewhere in the 10s when it came public in early 20. And again, that was, it came public even before COVID. So it didn't have a long life. And then once COVID came, it went through, went from 10 to 70. It didn't get quite a 10X, but you're still talking $11.1 billion market cap. So it's still not cheap when you look at valuations. But
and what did they make earnings wise? I mean, are they making money?
They are probably not. They're doing about 200 million last quarter in sales, and they're losing $1.35 a share, which was a big negative surprise of about 40% extra losses. So yeah, they're burning money because they spend money like they're a marketing machine. Oh wait, they are a marketing machine.
Yes, they are, and they're selling a losing business proposition to everybody.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the 6th jab. It's the same proposition.
Well, it's they win on every bet you place. That's all you need to know. They win.
All right, Matt. Some of those headlines. I got to say goodbye to Ray. See you later, Ray.
Well, let's talk about. Hey, what do you think about? So I'm just curious what you think about what's going on in college football, right? We were talking about this, and I'll share my screen here real quick, but. Neon Deion, the head coach and the biggest, the guy is cashed in. He's the head coach at Jackson State now, but he's doing more commercials than Nick Saban, and he does commercials with Nick Saban, and he's never going to compete with Nick Saban. So God bless him.
I don't know. I got a little different view of this, and I was just thinking about this. So this kid is one of the number 1 prospects I saw other places, number 2 prospect. Anyway, he said sayonara to Florida State and signed with Deion at Jackson State. And why wouldn't you, as a cornerback, want to be coached by Deion Sanders? Of course you would, right? I mean, and I think that
two things. Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. That on its own is fine. But you're going to be playing in the FCS. So you're not going to be playing against the Alabama.
Yeah, you know what though? The guys from Division III make it to the NFL.
Yeah, but those guys couldn't open their books either.
If he can play he'll play in the NFL if he's got the. Here's my thought about it though: the way that the transfer portal works now, he's at no risk to playing for Deion here, because if Deion gets a job, wherever Deion moves on to next, I don't think Deion Sanders is going to be the Jackson State football coach for a decade. He's going to move somewhere else. And
so he goes back to Florida State next year when Deion goes. And
exactly my thought. Like with the transfer portal, the kid's at no risk of not following Deion wherever Deion goes.
But here's the only thing, with all these NIL contracts, the only thing I would say, is I would really, I don't know if you obviously can't do this, but if I were a program, I would be leaning and educating my, like the kid that went to Ohio State, got his $2 million last year, already transferred to Texas. It's free agency at its finest. I mean, it's great for the kids, but if you don't have an advisor hired and telling you put that $2 million away and don't touch it until you graduate and or make it to the NFL, because you're going to, $2 million, you'll blow through in 4 years as a college kid if nobody puts a funnel, what do they call that? A muzzle on the spending habits of an 18, 19-year-old. I mean, seriously, I don't care who you are, whether you're rye, pumpernickel, or Wonder Bread. You are going to spend that money like an 18-year-old would if you don't have somebody, tapping you on the shoulder and saying, let's put this away for after when you're a little older and are a little bit more intelligent with money. That's all. That's my comment.
Right on.
And I think I also think it creates a problem for coaches.
The world gets more complicated as it gets more clownish.
Well, I'm just saying.
No, seriously.
There will become a time when one of these players, for whatever reason, is making more than the head coach. And that's kind of what happens in the NFL. And then everybody goes like this to urban legend. They're like, Urban, who wants to listen to you? Do this. Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, man. We just got to talk briefly about the unraveling. We saw yesterday the day before, the Colorado left-leaning governor has taken away the emergency situation in Colorado. Now 7 full counties in New York, maybe 8 as I saw this evolve.
Did she suggest they take emergency? Maybe that was the help, or he
emergency. Yeah. But it's just crazy to me how this unfolds. Like these governors are saying "fuck you" to the mask indoor mandate, right? And then at the same time, you got the Moderna boss talking about the Omicron and Delta may strike people at the same time. Like it's going to be the COVID, commingle here, the COVID commingle, and it's going to be worse than ever.
And
it's unreal.
The Moderna and Pfizer canceled attending the big JP Morgan healthcare biotech conference in January in San Francisco.
Because vaccinated people do not spread the virus. That's why they don't want to go. I mean, it's clear.
Well, they don't want to go because they don't want to be hammered by the press. That's the reality.
Sure.
That is.
All right, Matt. I know I saw.
And now the NFL is up to over 75 players on the COVID list. I mean, your league, is Deion Sanders?
Matt, the NFL has got 38 players today, 37 yesterday.
Yeah, 75.
Wait a second. It's because vaccinated people do not transfer the virus. That's
right.
Why.
Oh.
So
Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers, and who was the other guy that they said they gave it to everybody?
Yeah, it's right. It's the 1 percenters out there. Thank you, Twitter, we're staying on dialogue here for the Twitter cops. Matt, let's talk psilocybin. Why wouldn't we? Hold on a second. We got a couple of names. Let's bring it in correctly. And this shared from Mike Novogratz, and he's bravo to C. Angermeyer. That's a tough name to grow up with, right? He said he yada 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 yada, but he's going to lock up. He's voluntarily to extend a lockup of all my pre-IPO shares for another 24 months for ATAI. It's a pharmaceutical startup around.
Did he get double his starting money out already, though? That's all I wanted.
Well, the guy's for sure is.
No, but he also got double. He got double his starting money out already, so he's already doubled it. Now he's going to let it ride. Okay.
His pre-IP. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, man.
Well, I do.
But let's look at not some pot stocks. We can actually look at them too. Let's look at Compass, and let's also take a look at ATAI. Thank you, Mike Novogratz.
Yeah, Compass down here again. we followed it when it ran, up and spiked. We were long a couple times this year. And when we said it broke through 28, 29, stay away from it, and we're good short, and it continues to make new lows. New low here, 20, I think it dipped into the 2250 area, 2211 yesterday. Not looking good. I wouldn't touch this with Angermeyer's money either, but I didn't get the free.
Well, wait a second, before you jump, what is its market cap?
Market cap. Oh yeah. Market cap on Compass today is just under $1 billion today when it's trading here at $23. So just under $1 billion. And it was interesting. You and I were talking about this before. And then ATAI, which is ATAI Life Sciences NV, again, which means never mind, they're not doing any business, but it's worth, interestingly enough,
not vaccinated, Matt. It means not vaccinated.
Not vaccinated, right? The whole company. That's probably
super spreader.
That's what's hurting the stock name apparently today. The NV, the not vaccinated, and its market cap is around the same, 1.12 billion, a little higher than Compass. So again, these are really few of the only names that we are aware of, and we're not deeply analyzing every name. I actually had one come across my desk the other day, a private offering through an associate in the trading world, and it was a bond offering. Another company that's doing psilocybin. I think it was actually injections because it took too long. Apparently, people are too impatient for just to eat a peanut butter sandwich with mushrooms and have it kick in 15 minutes. Apparently, you need to get a shot because it's even faster. But that's a whole.
Well, of course. Why would you want to wait?
Why would you want to wait?
I want to be tripping balls right now. Let's go. Anyway, Matt, we looked at this and we both thought, it's so hard on something like this. If you believe in the integrity of the people that are running the company, first of all, I think that's important with startups. And if you believe that the technology, and we both have said this, for sure it can be a disruptor in the mental health space. But at what point?
But here's the problem I have with it, Bob, because the whole story for me that was appealing was, PTSD and depression and all these anxiety events that people have over and over, rinse and repeat, and they're taking pills and it doesn't work. The pills don't work. The whole idea of, using psilocybin in a controlled situation with your psychiatrist was, and most of the studies that I, thought were interesting was one, 6 to 8 hour session with your doctor tripping on psilocybin, and PTSD depression was cured 80% of the time. That's interesting because then I don't have to take it, every day, every week, and every, the pills and the backlash and the anxiety and the, all the side effects that come along with all these pills, right? From big pharma. So I don't know. I don't know anything about the story, so I'm not even going to comment about it. But just on the chart, obviously, as it breaks to new lows here today, it could go to, like you said, it could go to $1, and maybe at $1 and $100 million, $100 million market cap is more interesting than a billion, 150 billion. Excuse me, 150 million at $1 versus 690 when it's a billion too. So obviously, there's a ton of shares out there. If this stock is still worth this much, it trades a lot, 5 million shares a day. Today, actually, it's traded that much. Normally, less than a million. So, again, maybe this is like Siga, the one we talked about yesterday, which, by the way, has only a $500 million market cap. So, if you're just looking at market caps and flyers, it's hard to, I don't know much about their business, but this thing could go to a bazillion and it can go to zero. So,
right on.
Small caps.
Small caps.
Buyer beware.
All right, Matt. I just wanted to touch on a few other things here as we have, we got to waste time here for sure. And let's just talk a little geopolitics here because there's been a lot of talk about the China-Russia relationship. And I think one thing that you cannot ignore is they're both gunning for the US of A geopolitically. Let's just call that what it is. They might not like each other.
And they don't like each other.
But their distaste for US policy is greater than their dislike for each other. It would appear. But then you shared this. Russia vetoes UN resolution to recognize climate change as a threat to global security. The the Chinese don't even have to vote on it now, right? One veto and it's one and done, right? On resolutions, they have veto power. But this was the one that I wanted to bring up. This is 2000 and countries which share the greatest trade with, obviously, the U.S. dominating in 2000, and China has flipped the globe in 20 years. And if you do not see the power of that trade imbalance, you're missing the picture. So, I mean, I don't know what else to make of it.
Well, not only the trade imbalance, but if you thought the FOMC and the printing that we've been having here for the last 30 years is bad, I can only imagine what it is in China. So all that money, and again, this is a worldwide problem and it's not going away. The amount of money that is sloshing around. And I think really, I mean, if you just look at it from a chart, dollars and cents, price and time perspective, I think what we are in is we are watching, and this has been a 75, 80 year cycle of government growing worldwide, and their power is being abused. And now they're broke, they're out of money, and they have printed beyond what they should have. Of course, that was 20 years ago, but not forget about the last 30, right? But
and then in a sweep of the pen, the government says, hey, by the way, the debt ceiling another $2.5 trillion. And just write it off here.
And then they celebrate it like that's good news because the Americans. The next thing is going to happen, and I've been saying this probably for 10 years. The next thing, so I've been way early, but the next thing that's going to happen is they're going to use they're not going to use this pandemic or this plandemic to do this, but possibly climate change, possibly another pandemic. They will use and eventually say, hey, again, since you took the shot and that was for the best of mankind and that thank you for helping, we want you to lend us your both public and private pensions. We'll pay you back. That'll be the next thing.
Lend us? That seems like
that's how I'm just telling you, this is how it will be sold to you, Bob.
That's beautiful. All right, man. We had to reach out.
You heard it here 10 years ago first, but
for the Bumble dating app, let's come on. Let's let Lee have his Bumble and Twitter.
Well, why don't we have Leon and interview him and see, how his activity's going on Bumble? I don't know. I mean, I don't really care.
How's the activity?
I mean,
where is Twitter stock? I can't even. There it is. Twitter.
I mean, we can look at it.
Bottoming action. Twitter bottoming action.
Maybe, end of the year action again. Nothing new there. I don't know. For me, again, there's just nothing here. It's just dragging on the bottom.
I think Twitter. Bring up Twitter. Let me see what it has on a profile. Because,
we'll do Bumble, but nothing's changed. Is all I'm saying.
Nothing's changed in Bumble.
We don't need to talk about
your dating profile.
We don't need to talk about Lee's dating profile unless he wants to, put it on here. It's $6.5 billion market cap, and it went public this year, and it's been going down, and it'll go down further. I assure you. There you go. There's my analysis on it.
Well, you know what I like looking at that, Matt? Wait a second before you change it. How wide is that distribution, the value range distribution? How wide?
72 to 44, $28.
All right, so 44 minus 28 because it's going to distribute in that same fractal.
$16, yeah.
$16. There we go. Easy math.
Buy it down there, Lee.
Easy math. $16
and then watch the 16 go to zero.
All right, let's look at Twitter.
I don't think they're going to be buying Twitter.
Because we are not breaking Twitter rules, Matt. We have not broken a Twitter rule yet today because the vaccinated do not spread the virus.
Let me
say that again, Matt. 93% of the NFL vaccinated, right? 40 positives a day now because the vaccinated does not spread the virus.
But maybe the strippers that they're seeing at the strip clubs aren't vaccinated.
No, that's the FBI.
Oh, right. Yeah, we had a little rally to this, top of this hole here, 41 to 48, and now dripping back down. Again, end of the year, I don't see, there's nothing.
Fractal out though, because there's got to be, where's the longer term point of control in this pig?
It's fully pigged out. I mean, it's broken. I mean, we already know this. We've talked about it. We just talked about it. but it's on its way to 33 and possibly down to 28 by the early part of next year. It looks like to me. That's kind of like, that's,
No,
kind of
you know what's a great one here though, because it has started to penetrate that value range, right?
Oh, penetration. Hold on. I didn't consent to that.
Your spirit animal, Matt.
A spirit animal did not consent
Your
to that.
spirit animal did though, so we're fine.
I'm just looking at
I just want to point out that the similarity between that chart and the PENN Gaming chart. PENN Gaming hasn't gotten below 40 into the meat of that profile, and once it does, by Stottlemyer's view, depending on the time fractal, if you penetrate that value range, you got an 80% chance to cover 80% of the value range. That was his old work in the bonds in the 80s, but it holds up. Like if you spend time and build volume inside that value range, right, you're gonna fill 80% of it.
I'm just looking at the earnings, just quarterly earnings. I went back about 12 of them, 3 years worth. I'm not impressed. That stock should be down here at $25 by the trajectory. We definitely had a spike here and a spike here, but I'm sure that was that's again, I'm sure they're not making money and it was a bigger miss. And I'm sure going forward, they're not going to be making as much money because they've kicked off so many people off the platform. I mean, if you kick off half the people or whatever, if you want to say half the people are, whatever, you're going to kick off whoever you like, well, then they're going to go somewhere else. And, Trump's new thing, I'm not excited about it, but it will take all those people that you kicked out for sure. So there goes half your business. I mean, where are you going to get growth?
You're going to get your growth from the vaccinated, Matt, because they don't spread the virus.
Oh, right. Gosh, I keep forgetting.
All right, I'm glad that we covered all our Twitter bases. We're kicked off of Twitch. We're now no longer allowed in Canada. Good job. Well done. Please visit us at marketvitals.io where we can offend you daily.
But more importantly,
retweet the stream.
There was a couple of big moves and I can't believe you didn't bring them into the show today. There was a couple of big moves in Tesla. One was a rally off the low yesterday when the whole market rallied. But I sent you the video of Rita's.
Oh yeah. Of Asian Elon.
Yes, and the reason why it sold off again today. So we had let me bring up the chart here because we had a little bump, Bob, while you're preparing. We had a little bump in the stock late yesterday. See, this is what you have to do in the silly season. You got to have fun because it's silly. It's silly time of year. We rallied yesterday from the low of 930 and we rallied all the way up here to, just 965 and we're right there pre-market again this morning. And then they hammered them. And I think it was because of what I sent you today. So why don't you share that? It rallied because of the dog driving the Tesla.
Rita, by the way.
Yes.
Rita's doppelganger was driving the Tesla. This from inside the network, Market Vitals, a TikTok of this Asian Elon.
And the face. The
I mean,
smile.
it's for sure.
It looks just like
sure somebody.
He and Aaron Rodgers came out of the same Wuhan lab of cloning. The clone
They CGI'd it. They for sure CGI'd it. Rita, by the way, apparently has a whole nother family that lets her have Tesla
privileges.
Tesla privileges.
Yes.
The dog driving around. Nobody else said it. How great is that, though? Listen, will you watch my dog? Yeah, I just drop her off. No, I'll have the car drop her off. And,
well, it's a whole new business model, really. I've got a whole fleet of Teslas that if you want to get your dog groomed, we'll just come program it, pick your dog up, and take you to the dog groomer. It's a whole new business.
Exactly.
And it's fun, and we only take money in Ethereum and Bitcoin. That's all we take.
All right, Matt. By the way, we didn't cover Ether today, and just like the gentleman that owns a shit ton of shares in the pharmaceutical. He is saying that he's not going to cash in those chips for another 2 year, a 2 year lockup. Ether, I read a tweet that tons of giant amounts of Ether available to be sold because a 7 year lockup on some of the founding people. And believe me, they got to have. I mean, when Ether was a penny, how hard was it to give you 10 million Ether, right? Well, 10 million Ether at $4,000 is a healthy sum of money.
Yeah.
Anyway, It doesn't mean they all it means is the lockup is up and they're available to sell their ether and collect US dollars or euros or whatever you want to collect, as opposed to holding ether. We haven't looked at the chart in a while, so take it away. What do you think?
Well, again, I've been concerned because everybody was getting long, there, that run up to 40, almost 5,000. They were expecting 5,000. We never saw it this time. And it's, to me, again, we're only off $1,100. You're only off 25%. But, I was talking to another trader and she was telling me that don't worry. She's bragging about her ether. She's like, don't worry. I've been long since 300. I'm like, well, why the hell wouldn't you ring your registers, at 16X at 4,800? Like, why do you have to watch it? Why do you have to watch $1,200 go away? So if in fact that were true, why don't you just save yourself 1,200 and then buy a little at 1,200 lower, another 1,200 lower, and another 1,200 lower? Instead, what's going to happen? She's going to sit there and watch it go back to 1,000, then ring it for 5X when she could have rung it for 16X.
You can always get back in.
It can always get back in. And guess what? The point of control. My point being, the point of control doesn't, the value area doesn't even begin until 2,600. So if you think that this stuff is magic, then I don't know. Buy it.
I'll tell you one thing that for sure.
But to me, this is pure right-sided in play. Pure right-sided. Just looking for reasons to. It's just looking for reasons to whoosh too.
Like a ton of supply back on the market that people can wring generational wealth from.
Yeah, well, that's only
in particular.
That's only taken 2% off today. It's really nothing big. There's really nothing shocking on that news today. I guess matter of fact, it's rallied. Once it went down there. But again, we are Fed Day and we're doing what we do.
All right. We all are waiting.
Let's talk a little bit. Let's just talk a little bit pregame, Fed. We got Fed in 20 minutes. This is a time for you to look at, where would you sell? Well, right now, I'd love on a longer term chart to be a reseller again, 46.50 to 80. We're at 46.
Exact zone I'm looking.
Right. So I would love to get short again there if we were to bounce. However, I really think that we're probably going to, bust through here and go to the lower end, probably get down to 45.50 and then go and test that 44.94 again. And you're seeing the same thing, by the way, in the NASDAQ. It's even closer to this type of setup. Today was very mechanical in the NASDAQ. They tried to get it going in the morning like they always do, and there was just nothing but sellers, and they hammered the thing again back to yesterday's lows, and then that held, which I'm just going to point this out because not only was it yesterday's lows, but it was kind of the point of control on the day it turned, right? So that on December 6th, the point of control was 15,730. So you had two reasons that was a good area to buy today, along with the fact that it's Fed Day and nobody's really looking to hammer them. And the market had already been hammered 200 points. So pause, right? Until the next move. But if this thing flushes through here, and I my guess is if they're going to probe that probably, even if we go higher, they might probe 740 this morning in the next 40 minutes. They might take that out. And if they do, we could have another test of this low of 1550, which, Bob, is 250 points below where we are. So be careful. I think this is a sell regardless, sell higher, sell lower.
I kind of have the same feeling.
So,
I mean, they can be somewhat dovish if they want, but the reality on the ground, like they've all admitted it now. Transitory was the wrong way to present it. I mean, how do you have a transitory retraction and not have a forward guidance that is not dovish? I don't see how. So they could try to be a little pre-Christmas dovish and word it gently. And any rally, I think, needs to be sold. That's just me. The consummate seller. Well, I never saw something.
This is one of those cases too, where I don't want to sell right here, but if it breaks, I want to sell, and if it goes up, I want to sell. But that's also, we're waiting for the news. So that's typically, that's not the mode I'm in. I typically have a buy area, a sell area. Now I don't have a great buy area, especially in the NASDAQ.
I got a great buy area. It's 2023, August.
There you go. But you know what I mean. And if 1550 doesn't hold, by the way, I mean, we're going to go to 15,000. So again, don't forget, we're just at the tippy top of this, area up in here, maybe rolling over. This is the second time we've been below the the week trend line, again, don't count on my trend lines to be accurate. I only draw them to 2 points, and there they are. 1, 2. So you could draw to this line, you could draw a bunch of different trend lines. I'm just not going to do it because it's not what I do. But when you start looking at the profile in the longer term either, you're like, wow, there are so many holes in here that need to be filled in. And this is the way I always like to explain it. It's like this is like building a house on the beach with all these sand air pockets. Eventually your house is going to go into the ocean. Whoosh.
Perfect visual, Matt. And that's a quad. What is that? A quintuple Gallagher?
There's like 16 and there's little guns in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Easy. 9 takes you down. Nine takes you down to 11-2, by the way.
Right on.
That's the 9th level.
All right. Good luck with the Powell lottery coming up. Please share the broadcast, retweet it far and wide. Bob Dole working in the afterlife now, getting it retweeted in Chicago.
Oh, and just announced, Klaus Schwab's Build Back Better has been pushed away. Not going to get done in 2021. Shocking. Just announced Biden can't get it done. Once again, whatever he promised.
Have you ever lived in a world where somebody speaking in that accent was going to be great for society? I don't know. I still have a problem.
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
What we have, show us the papers.
I mean, unless it's Hogan's Heroes, it's just they're not going to be your hero.
All right, folks, have a great one. Good luck. Thank you, Matt.
Colonel Schultz.